Good morning, everybody. It really is good to see such a strong crowd here this morning, and this is such an important issue, as we all know. I would like to thank the Minister for her insightful comments. I think she has clearly set out how evidence is linked to national policy making. The Youth and Progression Framework, Communities First, and the work of local service boards are all areas that councillors and other organisations have significant involvement. I want to talk broadly about how we conceptualise poverty, how we need to work together, and then I'll pick up on some of the specific work that local government is progressing with other stakeholders. I don't think that there is anyone in this room who would agree that current levels of poverty are either acceptable or inevitable in a modern, developed economy. Poverty, in the words of public sector systems thinking, is pure failure demand. It is a costly burden on the public purse, as well as being risky and wasteful. You would think that in times of diminishing budgets, we would grasp the nettle of prevention. We need to address negative social outcomes upstream before a heavy price is exacted from our council and NHS budgets. At a UK level, there have been various anti-poverty strategies over the years, and they are focused on particular groups in the population, such as children and pensioners. And these strategies have all lacked a clear link from the evidence to the actions proposed and the outcomes sought. Here in Wales, we have been thinking a bit more intelligently about how to better understand poverty. We are constantly questioning how we measure the right thing and evaluate what works and what doesn't. It is an ongoing search that is enriched by the work of a strong civil society, notably through the Joseph Rowntree Foundation and the Bevan Foundation. Local government is a strong supporter of the work of both of these organisations. Their current joint inquiry into a Wales without poverty is asking some probing questions in a quest to produce an evidenced anti-poverty strategy for all age groups in Wales and the UK. The project is looking at many questions, but three stand out for me. What measures of poverty should be used? Should we be lowering rates of deprivation or lowering our Gini coefficients? Viewing poverty in absolute or relative terms determines the type of policy response required. Secondly, what would a Wales and the UK without poverty look like? Is it a structured like a Scandinavian economy, or are there pockets of Singaporean city region wealth that support a prosperous and diversified rural hinterland? And thirdly, what are the underlying drivers of poverty? Poor education, poor housing, poor health, low incomes, joblessness, or all of the above? To help answer these questions, several reviews of existing research on poverty have been commissioned. I hope we all support that work. It is important we all work together to analyse the evidence and develop a shared understanding of the issues. But joint working is even more important if we're going to solve the most persistent and pernicious of social ills. It requires the combined effort of statutory organisations across tiers of government and sectors, as well as the third sector and social enterprises. I can tell you that it's true from practical experience, and a bit later I'll touch on how some councils, including my own, are responding to the challenge with a range of partners. At local authority level, we value the work of the data unit in supporting much of the work councils are taking forward, particularly in the context of the UK government's welfare reform agenda and the Welsh government's Tackling Poverty Action Plan. As universal credit begins its national rollout, it provides an opportunity for us to reassess multi-agency approaches to helping the most vulnerable people in our communities. Along with its sister organisations, COSLA in Scotland and the LGA in England, the WLGA has worked hard to secure a role for local government through the national framework called Universal Support Delivered Locally. Local government has been at the forefront of national piloting projects to prepare for welfare reform. Over the last 3 years, many authorities have been involved in some kind of trialling activity. Torfaen, Caerphilly, Newport, Wrexham and Flintshire, to name but a few. I'm pleased that Carmarthenshire and Blaenau Gwent are participating in the current trialling and testing. However, welfare reform is only one aspect of the tackling poverty agenda. Many councils realise that what is needed is a cross-cutting approach to ensure joined-up corporate action within councils. It has to be aligned with the Welsh Government's Tackling Poverty Action Plan, and that means working together with all of our stakeholders. Some of us have roles as anti-poverty champions within our councils, and I am pleased that local government is leading the way with interventions at a local level across Wales. There is excellent work developing in Flintshire, where the council's welfare response team is helping to mitigate some of the effects of welfare reform for hundreds of householders. And the Shotton one-stop shop is signposting vulnerable clients to Job Centre Plus and other services. In Swansea, the authority is looking at place-based budgeting and working with the Community's First Lift programme, working in partnership with training providers, employers and the voluntary sector to support parents into training and work opportunities. In my own authority, we have a number of cross-cutting initiatives. Caerphilly's approach to local procurement supports the community benefits approach to contracting. I won't say too much more about that, as Ian and Natasha from Caerphilly County Borough Council are running a breakout session on that very topic a little bit later on. In Caerphilly, we realise that inadequate housing is one of the major drivers of poverty in our area, and our £200 million investment in the Welsh Housing Quality Standard programme will act as a catalyst for regenerating communities, supporting local businesses and providing job opportunities for some of our most vulnerable residents. We also recognise the need for a joined-up approach between the WHQS, our team working to mitigate the impact of welfare reform, Communities First, Families First and Flying Start. The significant amount of joint working across the authority is helping Caerphilly to formulate our tackling poverty strategy that is due to come before Cabinet in April. And finally, the Caerphilly Passport programme has taken advantage of the European funding through the Local Service Board to tackle youth unemployment amongst young people across our county. I want to finish by bringing back to this evidence, highlighting the importance of social research in the evaluation of our interventions. You could take what I said about the success of the Passport programme at face value, and I accept that there is a natural tendency for politicians to accentuate the positive aspects of their own policies and move on to the next thing without learning any lessons. However, the Passport scheme was one of a number of case studies that featured in the formative evaluation of the ESF LSB project. In many ways, it was a favourable assessment by Cardiff University Business School. This thorough and scientific piece of work, commissioned by the Welsh Government's social research team, shows what can be achieved if you have clear outcomes and work together. This shows the importance of data and evidence right through from the conceptualisation of a problem to the design, implementation and assessment of policy interventions. I would encourage you to share your own examples, experiences and learning today, and look forward to hearing more about the many examples of the good work that is happening right across Wales. Thank you very much.